Hello, I'm Denise Jones, Sunday school teacher at Pleasant Grove Mouse MB Church, where Reverend J.R. Keys is the pastor. Today's lesson is Enduring False Charges, Job chapter 8, verses 1 through 10, and 20 through 22. Job was a perfect, upright man and a worshiper of God who lived in the land of Uz. For his own reason, God granted Satan permission to afflict Job. Satan did this by taking his natural substance, his 10 children, and his health. But God made it clear to Satan he could not take Job's life. Job's friends heard of his condition, and it prompted 3 of his friends to visit and comfort him. Instead of it being a visit of empathy, sympathy, and showing compassion for their friend Job, their visit became the occasion to chastise and attempt to convince Job that his calamities were the result of some sin he committed against God. Bildad was the second friend to speak to Job. He condemned Job harshly, selfishly, and with a spirit of censorship. His entire response was based on personal convictions, unfounded traditionalism, and a misunderstanding of God's justice. Job had not sinned against God, but Bildad and the others had sinned by being judgmental and by having a damaging misunderstanding of God's justice. Being judgmental often leads to misinterpretation of God's word and his ways. The major problem with judgmentalism is that it displaces God's will and purpose. Judgmental people, like Bildad in today's lesson, often unintentionally assume the role of God to pass judgment on others. We are commanded to withhold judgment of others unless there is evidence of a violation of God's word. There was no evidence of this in Job's case. Even though there were several tragic events to occur in Job's life, and his friends questioned God's justice and Job's innocence, Job remained faithful to God. In Job chapter 16, verse 2b, Job calls his friends miserable comforters. Why? Because they showed him no kind of compassion at all. Instead of them coming to him, showing him compassion for his suffering and consoling him for his grief, they falsely accused him. So in today's lesson, our lesson teaches us today not to be false accusers. Hurting and suffering people are all around us in our homes, communities, and places of corporate worship. They require the ministry of believers who will strive to meet their needs without passing judgment, and whose words and actions are the product of sound biblical teaching. Genuine compassion and sympathy. See people that are in need, people that are suffering, we are to go to them in love, showing them compassion and letting them know that there is a comforter that will comfort them and that will help them through whatever situation they may be facing. And that comforter is Jesus Christ. We can lead people to Jesus. We can comfort people by showing them love, by giving them a word. Do not be a false accuser. Thank you.